What is going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. My name is Justin, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. We are talking some Frank Miller Daredevil tonight, and we're talking specifically about Daredevil issue 162 to 167. We call it Frank Miller because technically this is Frank Miller's art that he's done on majority of these issues, other than 162 technically. I say we because I have my good friend Darrell with me. Read your comics over on Instagram. Let me bring Darrell in. Darrell, what's going on, brother?
What's happening, Justin?
Good to see you, man. You ready to talk some Daredevil?
Oh yeah, I've been waiting on this one. we're wrapping up and getting ready to get into the really fun part.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. Yeah. So for anyone watching or who doesn't know, Darrell and I, we've been doing this buddy read now for pretty much since the beginning of the year, right? We kicked it off like January or so. Yeah, and so we, this is technically our second stream of doing this, breaking down some of the Daredevil stuff from Frank Miller's beginnings of his art and stuff. So this is great. Darrell, thanks for reading along with me. I know we took a little break. I know you're reading a ton of AOA right now too, which is really cool, and I got a ton of stuff. But I'm glad that we were able to keep this going for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
We've stuck to about roughly one issue a week with a couple of skip weeks. So, this will last us the year, so many
Totally. And they do read fast, I feel like. Faster than some of the X-Men books that I've been reading, I feel like.
Claremont is not a good read.
Yeah, no, a lot more detail. But I am curious to see how that writing changes or shifts as, obviously as we get into the Frank Miller writing material. But yeah, with the stuff that we're doing right now, I actually I don't even know the names of we could talk about it, but some of the writers, or if it's just one writer for the whole time. I know 162 was it was Ditko doing the artwork, and I think they had a guest writer on there as well. But let me pull up my notes.
He does most of them, and
Mackenzie, that's it. Okay.
David is a Michelini. You say a Michelini or Michelini? Yeah, he did the last one.
Right. Yeah, I should have had this up. Sorry about that. For anybody in the whether you're watching this now or if you're catching the replay, I wanted to mention that if you're not following Darrell, I put his information in the description below. His handle's right there next to him. Read your comics, so definitely, check him out there. A couple people in the chat here. I saw Todd Christian. What's going on, Todd? Good to see you. And we got my man Paul hanging out with us as well.
Paul.
Back-to-back issues. Just caught you guys streaming over on his channel the other night. That was really cool. You guys talking about the Marvel team-up stuff, which was great. It actually, that right before you guys went live, I read issue 1 of Marvel team-up.
Oh, really?
I was just like, you guys so much talk about it. I've been eyeing and wanting to collect more of those issues, and just because I keep seeing all you guys posted, I'm like, man, they're so beautiful, and they look super fun. So I read that first issue. And I laughed because it's like a Christmas issue kind of. But anyways, it was you guys had a great discussion there. Fun conversation. So I was just pulling up the first. I wanted to bring up that first one because I just wanted to make sure I was giving credit to the right. Some of the right names here. Let me flip to 162. But tell me your thoughts. As we do this, Darrell, like generally speaking, before we get into some of the detail, we can go issue by issue, but like overall, what were your thoughts on some of these issues that you had read? And was there one or two that really stood out to you most?
The Hulk one stands out to me the most of this little batch for sure. And the one after that too is really good, even though it's mostly like an origin story. Mm-hmm. I think the whole part with Ben Urich and his expose, which they've been building up to for a few issues, landed really well in that one. I like the Doc Ock issue a lot too, actually, now that I'm like flipping through it.
Yeah.
I would say the weakest one out of the group is the Michelini one, the last one, although it has a cool cover. But we can get to it as we go along. But that's pretty much how I felt about them. I mean, they're all pretty good, and Miller does start co-plotting at one point.
So that's what I noticed. That I forget which issue, but I noticed that he was starting to be credited under one or two of those issues. towards the end there.
I think it was the Doc Ock issue that he starts to be credited.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first one I'm seeing as a co-plotter.
Okay. So, yeah, and by the way, so the first, so technically we're starting with 162. You'd mentioned that I know it's a filler issue ultimately.
Yeah,
and it's not even part of your thing.
It's not part of my trade. My trade skips over that one because it is just, it's the Frank Miller Visionaries. So, he didn't have anything to do with that one. So and it was a filler, like it wasn't even like part of like the ongoing storyline. So they just left it out.
Yeah. I was just looking, the writer for 162 is Michael Fleischer or Fleischer,
okay.
Fleischer. By the way, we had Chop and Drop hanging out with us. Good evening, Chop and Drop. Thanks for stopping by. And also Spiders Comics, in the house. What's going on with Spiders Comics? And Paul said that 164 is his favorite issue. I have to agree. I think 164 was the one that stood out to me the most out of all of them.
The origin one.
Yeah, there was some real, and I have some screenshots. We'll get into it, but definitely loved some of the poetic side to how it was written. But let me bring up the slides here. So I was telling, so everybody watching right now, or if you're watching the replay, I was telling Darrell, like, Darrell and I, we're like, yeah, we'll shoot the shit, we'll talk some Daredevil. And earlier today I'm at lunch and I started taking some screenshots, and I'm like, you know what, let me throw a little slideshow together. And here we are 24 panels later, but we'll get through it as we go. But yeah, like there were so many fun things to talk about, so I figure we'll jump right into this. Let me remove my my logo up top here for a sec. So this first issue 162, like we said, Michael Fleischer, Steve Ditko doing the artwork. So that was one thing that was like kind of a highlight for me that I wanted to see. Definitely a filler issue, like you said. There's I mean, there's no connection. And if anything, what it does do is it touches a little bit more on just reminding you again of his origin story, like his dad. It's a lot of it's about his dad. So it's like basically the gist of this story in general is he ends up like helping some scientists who are in big trouble and with some like project they're doing, and there's like radioactive things going on, and he has to step in and basically like save them, and it's like before this thing explodes and all this stuff. And when he does that, some of the radiation like messes with him and knocks him out. And when he wakes up, he forgets who he is, completely forgets who he is. And literally, like he's dressed in the Daredevil suit, so he doesn't even have his wallet or anything. He has nothing on him. And so he's walking down an alleyway and he sees like some gangsters picking on some guy, and he like just goes and stops them. And as he tries to stop them, these gangsters were actually part of this mob group. And the head of the mob comes out. And he notices how he's like really putting up a fight and stopping these guys, and he's like ordering more men. He's like, no, don't take this guy out. Let's bring him in. And they end up like making Daredevil one of their own posse. Like, and he doesn't know like kind of what's going on, but they're like, hey, you could be really good, man. So they get him to be a fighter. They're like, they're asking him who he is and all this other stuff, but they basically want to have him be a fighter, a boxer, I should say. And so again, very much similar to what his dad did. And it's literally almost story for story for what his dad went through, where he's like, okay, like, you're winning me all these fights. This is great. We're making money, but now I want you to take a fall. And, that whole gist. And then, and he still doesn't remember who he is. Like, he doesn't even know his name or nothing. I don't remember what they call him. But as he's like, I don't want to, I can't just go down or whatever. As he refuses to go down, basically the mobster, he loses all this money. He's furious with him, and he tries to like, have Daredevil killed. And this other guy like steps in the way. And as he sees the guy like sacrifice himself, he remembered himself sacrificing himself to save, that old man back when he, before he was blind and all this other stuff. So it like brings back this whole thing about his, it immediately clicks. He remembers who he is. So that's really all it was. I mean, it basically was, and then he stops the bad guy, of course. There's this cat involved. This guy owns, it's like Mike Tyson. He owns like this cheetah or whatever. So that's what that was. And that was really it. That was really the issue. So there wasn't much, to stick to with going about it. So, and I didn't want to talk much about it, but I just to give you the gist of it, Darrell, and anybody who hasn't read it. Yeah.
Where did the Jaguar come in?
Yeah. He basically was like, his pet, the mobster's pet, and then at one point he like sent him after him to like as his men were attacking or whatever too. So,
so did you have this pin up in the?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. Yep.
Okay. I was like, it says it's an unpublished cover to 164, and I was like, well, where does this even happen in the story?
Yeah, that does. Yeah, that would be for this one. I mean, that's
what I was just dawned on me when I was looking at that. I was like, well, that's that pinup that was just completely random.
Yeah, and I do like that cover, that what you showed there. I do like that more than this one, but yeah, it did seem a little random. Couple of things in the chat. I see. Let's see. Mark Eckenrode is hanging out with us. What's going on, Mark? Says just popping in and say hello. Got to go, but have a great chat. Thank you, man. Alonzo Comics and Pops hanging out with us from Team Nerd Herd. Just doing some channel hopping. Good to see you, Alonzo. Appreciate you, man. Team Nerd Herd is going to go live in about 20 minutes. And they have Herminio on, so make sure you check that out later. Definitely a fun show they always put on over there. So let's see. Yeah, Spider says I was recently in an auction and they had a really high grade 9.2 plus of the Miller run, so I upgraded a few of my issues and reread them. Nice.
Yeah, good deal. He's been posting those in his stories. Super sweet copies.
Very nice. Paul said he wrote the Spectre Adventure comics for DC. Oh, talking about Michael Flesher, maybe? I think Sue saw him out.
Look at Paul coming with some DC information.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Who stole his account?
Yeah. Who is this operating this right now? Spider says it's 165, 166 is where Miller gets to co-plotting. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, man. So anyway, so 162, that's like the gist of it. We won't stay too long on this. But I want to jump right into the next one. Okay, yeah, Paul was talking about Flesher, by the way. So interesting. Hey, we got Gore Vidal in the house as well. What's going on, Gore? Good to see you. He says he also wrote excellent Jonah Hex stories. Oh, okay, Flesher. Interesting. That 162 was I would say maybe just not his best work. That's all.
Well, it was a job, probably.
Right.
Like whoever the editor in chief was at the time was like, we need a couple fill-ins just in case.
Yeah. Hey, you.
Because the issue before, which we talked about the last time, actually ended saying that it was going to be the Hulk, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
There. Yeah. That was the issue before that Ditko issue. You're like, can you imagine if you were on the buying this monthly or bi-monthly at the time? Oh, you're like, ooh, the Hulk next issue, and then you got that.
You get that. They even say it in the beginning of 162. They say, we know we said this, but we're
okay. At least they addressed it.
They address it, and they're like, but don't worry, you're still in store for a great, be ready for a great story, and it goes into this whole other thing. So I took some screenshots just of a few initial things here, but more of the action type stuff. But why don't you give us a little thought here of breaking this down or what your thoughts were with 183?
Man, this was like kind of the typical perfect comic setup where it's like the Hulk is in town, Daredevil, who has encountered the Hulk before, but he just says it is time to I've got to get him out of the city somehow. And so I love how when he first goes and approaches the Hulk, he just tries to calm him down immediately. Yep. He doesn't really try to engage. And I think he does it as Matt Murdock, actually. He goes and just calms him down and gets him to change back to Banner. And it's, and then it's once he's Banner and he sleeps it off, he's like, have some money, get out of New York.
Yep.
And of course, like they joked in the Hulk movie, it's like Bruce Banner in a subway crammed full of people. That's probably not the best idea.
Yeah, no, not so much.
It goes from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the other thing too, when he is the Hulk and he's throwing this riot, even the first time when they first meet, he brings up Banner, Matt Murdock brings up Banner, and the way Hulk reacts to the name is he thinks it's like some other person. He's like, I don't like that guy. I don't like Banner. Where is Banner? I'll destroy Banner. He wants after Banner. And at first, as even in that middle screenshot there, that is, like you called it, Darrell, he is not Daredevil yet. He's just dressed up normally. He just came right from that party. And he doesn't even get a chance to really address it with him to say, hey, dude, you are Banner,
Right.
But he does later as he's fighting with Hulk here. So I just thought that was interesting because, like, I mean, again, I haven't read a lot of Hulk stuff, and so I don't fully know, like, where, at least with this series or this story, I don't know what Hulk has experienced so far and where where his story has kind of led to at this moment. But like, for him to be asking, like, where is Banner, puny Banner, like, I want, like, was that a thing? Oh, like,
at this point, it was kind of inconsistent with the way the Hulk perceived Banner. I guess there were periods the Hulk, especially this Green Savage Hulk, often didn't realize that him and Banner were the same person.
Yeah.
The Green Hulk and the smarter Hulks obviously know, but this, like, Savage, I guess you'd say, the childlike Hulk, often didn't realize him and Banner were the same person, but he knew that he hated Banner.
Yeah.
Because he also innately knew that, like, Banner's trying to get rid of the Hulk, getting rid of me somehow. So that's why he hated Banner.
Right.
It's like, I guess it was like a subconscious thing of, like, Banner wants to get rid of the Hulk. And so the Hulk hates Banner for that.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So yeah, it was kind of inconsistent, but like that, I would say at this time period, that was more the thing,
Yeah. Spider says there is a disconnect. He goes through periods of intelligence, but sometimes, Todd said, I love Daredevil and I understand his fantasy, but Daredevil's leg should have been broken in half after kicking the Hulk. Yeah, I'll tell you, there are some really cool fight scenes in this, and I love how Frank Miller draws this, faded Daredevil, like faded drawings of him to represent his movements and the way he moves around. Like, I think that's a really cool, and I don't know if that was something others were doing before Frank Miller or not, but that panel on the right there looks really cool. And yes, Daredevil gets his butt kicked ultimately. I mean, he gets slammed, he gets thrown around pretty bad. Yeah. But and this is so, by the way, Roger McKenzie, as you mentioned earlier, this is McKenzie doing the writing on this. And so, I mean, basically, I'm just trying to think what happens at the end. Like, he basically just he talks him out, or he calms him down somehow, or I forget what happens at the very end now.
He does, like you said, he starts telling the Hulk, like, don't you get it? You are Banner.
Oh, that's right.
Hulk, basically, the Hulk just gets, like, annoyed with him and says, like, forget you, I'm leaving. And, like, and just takes off. But that's after he's already, like, smacked Daredevil, like, there that you have it. I guess it's the bottom panel, like, smacked him into the alleyway.
Yeah. And he was kind of left for dead, right? I mean, I know that the next issue picks up kind of.
Pretty much.
And beat it.
I mean, like, the police and stuff are all around, because also that's when Ben Urich's there. And he's been putting together the story of Daredevil, and he's there, like, watching it. And Heather Glenn is there, and she goes, Matt, like, yells out to him. And that's like the final piece of the puzzle for him. He's like, it's definitely what I've already suspected. That pretty much confirmed it.
Right.
But then, the police are there, and I think there's a good scene with the police, if I recall, where I think Heather's like, do something. They're like, what are we supposed to do?
Right. Paul says, I loved how Miller would draw Daredevil in full costume with a hat and trench coat, looking for info at Josie's bar. Yeah, those were good scenes too, with Josie's bar back in the other issues there. Gore said, what I found interesting in these issues was the dynamic between Matt, Natasha, and Heather. Yeah, for sure. And I know we get more to that next issue. He says, I think Miller already had Elektra in mind, throwing a wrench into the relationship. Yeah, no, for sure. That's and we can go into that one next year. So going into 164, and Paul had mentioned this is his favorite. I think this is my favorite as well. Just more from a story perspective. And this, I think I took multiple screenshots here, so we can go through some of this, but the story opens up that we're exactly where we left off. So, like, he's in the hospital, which makes sense from just being destroyed by Hulk, essentially. All these headlines, by the way, they respected, like, not taking his mask off, so they left him in that
because he was so brave to, like, take on the Hulk.
Right.
They were like, preserve his identity.
We'll give him that, right?
Yeah,
which was cool. Like, so the headline, there's a bunch of headlines. You could see those papers kind of shredded out there, and just giving updates basically to the masked Daredevil and him recovery and stuff like that. And then obviously you have Luke Cage and the rest of the crew kind of visiting from time to time. And then Natasha, as Gore had brought up, she steps back into the picture here. And on the right, we get like a flashback again. And you mentioned this, Darrell, is more of like parts of his origin story we get again, and just getting an understanding of kind of what he was going through as a kid. You even get to hear like they were calling him Daredevil, like that was his name as like being picked on, like that was like something that those kids were shouting at least, which is interesting because I never considered like where he got his name or whatever. So I thought that was good. I thought that was interesting. Or was it maybe I don't know if I have the next slide here. So
what Rick's saying about grand design. Hold
on. Rick Ray says they showed off this scene in the recent issue. Oh, cool. Okay.
Let's see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah. See if that's in there. That's cool. The reason So the reason I wanted to bring this panel up because this is again part of the one of the reasons I really like this issue was the poeticness of it, where you see here Matt's father in this flashback, right? We're learning about the flashback. So what's his name? Battling Jack. He's basically he was supposed to go down. We know the story. He's supposed to go down. He fights anyways, and he says this one's for you, Matt. And he's raising his hand after he wins a fight he's not supposed to. So he says this one's for you, Matt. And then shortly after is when he gets killed in front of Matt. And the killer says, this one's for you, bum. Right. So play on words, kind of this was for you. Screw me over. Now you're dead. And obviously Matt sees that. That's changed his whole life. Right. And then, on the next couple panels, we get some awesome scenes here where basically, Daredevil, like, and again, with rocking the yellow, all this stuff, like love that he went after and wanted to box this guy and, kind of he wanted a one-on-one in the ring type thing. And I love how they show the flat line of this guy as he takes him out here. And just I love the idea of the panels and how that was actually drawn out. And then that goes right into this. And I know I'm like jumping right through this issue, but the thing I wanted to highlight was this other portion here, where as we were just showing that, Battling Jack was saying this one's for you, and then the murderer says the same thing. As you were saying, Darrell, this is where we see Ben Urich at the end. And he tells him like, hey, he visits Daredevil. He's like, I know the truth. I know who you are. This would do wonders for my career. Right. This is like, he's like, sorry, man, this is my career. I have to do what I do and move up. And Daredevil, basically like asked him like, please, can, what does he say? It's as good as over. He said, so that's how my career began. But Ben, it's as good as over if you print this story. He goes, I know that, and I know what this means to you in this town, but I am a reporter, Matt, and I know what this story means. And I know what this story means to me. This is probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But ... And I love how he lights up his cigarette. That whole sequence of panels
in the hospital.
In the hospital. Yeah.
Good.
But just love the shadows and the darkness of this, and obviously snowing outside, like the weather and everything. You feel it, like you're there, you're in this scene. And at the end, as he walks out, he goes, this one's for you, Matt. And I just loved that it brought it back to that. I don't know if a lot of writers were doing that style at that time or, using a similar quote to kind of go through a book. I've seen it done more now recently, but I thought it was so clever. And so that was, I really like that.
Just like lighting up a cigarette and this noir, I'm sure it had been done to some extent before, but Old Man Comics reboot, Rob on IG tipped me off to. There's a little series on YouTube about. I guess it came out with the first Daredevil movie, and it interviews like Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. Anyway, all these people. But in the Frank Miller part, he talks about. Really using the Kingpin, but he said that before this, Kingpin was just a Spider-Man villain and kind of a corny one at that. But he wanted to use it, and John Byrne was like, his like equal, at that point. I mean, he said it was like a friendly rivalry, actually. And he said it was John Byrne's idea. He said, when you use the Kingpin, first introduce him like we've seen him in Spider-Man, but then light him up, which is your signature style, like that Ben Urich picture. So later on, we'll see like that. He said that was his signature style, to light him up. And we'll see that later on when we get to those Kingpin issues. But
that's cool. Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of like his style, so much that even Byrne was like, that's your thing. And when you do that, you take over that character.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Spider says Ben is one of the greatest second tier characters. He goes, there, I've said it. Rick said, I always say that 165 is the perfect issue for any new Daredevil reader. Interesting. Yeah. We'll jump right into that next. See, Dad's father looks like the Spirit, as do many of the Eisner inspired panels. The Spirit. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, we got Nicholas in the house. What's going on, Nick? Good to see you, man. Yeah, Gore mentioned Kingpin. Oh, yeah, he said Miller made Urich a fascinating character and the Kingpin. Yeah. So I know I kind of ran through some of this, but was there anything else here you wanted to kind of mention or jump in on?
Well, I want to address how they treated his head trauma with his mask on.
Oh, yeah. just wrap it up and
wrap some bandages around it. If it gets infected from the dirty mask, whatever.
that's on him.
The dirty guy. Here's that page from Grand Design.
Let me pull that up here. Yeah. Oh, hey, cool. Yep. That's cool. That's awesome, man. He included that. Very cool. Yeah. Gosh, I gotta pick that up. I should pick that up. I didn't.
You gotta pick that up. You gotta support those guys.
Pisker's great. Yeah. So that's cool. That was really cool. Let's see. Spider said Ben was pretty new. His first appearance was 150. Oh, really? Was it 153?
It was pretty close to this, and I think they even portray him as kind of like a, he worked for the Bugle, but he wasn't like. He wasn't like a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist or anything. So this story really would have like elevated him up to do it.
Yeah.
So, for him to make that sacrifice of like, not only am I not going to print it, but I'm going to burn all my notes and stuff right here too. So nobody will know. I mean, he's been, later on, he's built up more to be like, this like super journalist in a way. Like the go-to journalist to cover all this stuff.
Yeah, he's more of a big shot. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, he's pretty low level, but he's older. I mean, he's like middle aged.
Right. Never aging at this point. Yeah. I was say he's being used a lot. I don't know if you're reading the current X-Men stuff, but he has a main storyline with the X-Men right now. Yeah. He finds out some things and certain people don't want him to know about, or obviously not report about either, but he plays a cool role for sure. So
eventually he figures it out. Peter Parker too. I think sometime in the early 2000s, there's like a book where he confronts Peter Parker too, and he's like, "Look, I know you're Spider-Man," and he didn't do it like this, where like I'm going to write a story on it. It was just kind of like, "Look, I'm letting you know that I know." And Peter's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You always smell like smokestacks. You're always coming in from the roof." Like, I know Daredevil, and like I know how I know how this works.
He's putting two and two together.
It's like once he's figured out one, he's like, "Oh, now I know the signs. I'll spot them all."
Right. I mean, I definitely I like him as a character. I know he was used in the TV show. Had some scenes there, and he's a nice little like a lower key level. I hope to see more of him. I
was disappointed in the show when they killed him off.
Oh yeah.
I thought his character. I mean, it was impactful for the show, and
sure.
But I was kind of like, oh man, they killed him. Like,
He
could have gone on, but they could have done a lot more with him.
Oh, totally. I mean, in a way, he kind of reminds me of like, Gordon, like what Gordon is to Batman. To some degree. I mean, he's not a detective per se, but just somebody who's kind of always in the mix and doing his own research.
Yeah.
So, so Snyder said that Ben's in 153, then 159. So he was Miller's to use. That's cool. That is really cool. I did not realize that he was right around that time. I'll have to see. I don't know if I own 153 or not, but the one, one of the issues. So I was going through my Daredevil box. Out of these issues that we're going over with right now, I do own this one. So 164. I'm really happy to own this. And I mean, this was $3 that I got this for a while back.
Wow.
It's actually $6, but I got it. It was a sale that Zap had for 50% off. It's actually nice, pretty nice condition too. But I'll have to flip through that later.
I was able to get a reprint copy at a toy show I went to a couple weeks back.
Oh, nice! It
must be one that came. I bet it came with the Marvel Legends, and I usually pick those up when I see them. So
yeah.
You know, I think it was like $1, maybe $2, but it's a nice one that I have that spinner in my kids' room. So it's a nice one for them, and it's a good one for them to reflect on for his origin, you know, when they just want to pick it up and flip through a Daredevil.
Oh, 100%. And that was what I highlighted Rick again. He said, yeah, sorry, he meant 164 for being a great first issue. I totally agree, Rick. Like that's definitely, this is a great retelling, and you do get these darker vibes. You know, it's not like cheesy per se. I mean, there are some things, but like, you know, generally speaking, I think it kind of really does fit what Daredevil represents in a really good way. Just the storytelling and everything. So like I said, I mean, this is I would recommend this for anybody if they're not definitely a Daredevil reader.
It's a great starting point. In fact, Rob on Instagram, when he saw that I put that book on like a stack that I did, like a flip through stack, and he saw it, and it was right on the top, and he was like, I've read the crap out of that book.
That's awesome. You know? Yep. That's so great. I'm gonna after this, I think I'm gonna take some pictures. I'll have to share mine here as we wrap it up. As we wrap up the week here. All right, let's go into this next one here. And did I not place? Maybe I didn't put. So I didn't put the. Oh yeah, here it is. I jumped ahead. Sorry. So let's go to 165 here. So this one you mentioned too. So this is one of the ones that Frank actually did have some co-plotting and writing involved, right? Arms of the Octopus is the title. Put the little splash page in there as well, as he's walking the tightrope here. What were some of your thoughts here with this? I know you mentioned this was definitely another one that kind of stood out to you more so in this list that we're going over here.
I like this one a lot. It's this is like classic comics where villain of the month. You know, it's like there's subplots that are going through Matt's life, but it's like this issue is the Doc Ock issue. He shows up kind of out of the blue. Daredevil deals with him, and you're on to the next one. But it's like that's just fun comics to me. You know, we didn't need a 6-issue Doc Ock story for Daredevil. Right. It's like here he shows up, and it is pretty cool because it didn't reference it in the book, so I had to look it up to see. You know, it talks about where Doc Ock had been, like what had just happened to him. Yeah, later on, and so I had to look that up, and that was a Spider-Man annual. I bet Spiders Comics is going to tell us what it is in a second.
Oh, sweet!
But it was a Spider-Man annual, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It goes straight from that into this, but you didn't have to read that Spider-Man annual.
Right. I'll say I haven't read it. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't either. But I looked it up when I read this. I was like, oh, well, where did that happen? So I had to Google Doc Ock and a submarine. I think it came up. So I was like, what's he saying? It's the submarine.
It's the submarine. Yeah.
So I had to look that up, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool that it did go from that into this.
Yeah.
You know, so there was that Marvel continuity, but it wasn't required reading. You know, it's like it's just this little one-off issue, and it's like a perfect Doc Ock plot too. He's trying to steal some adamantium, to make some new arms.
Nothing too complex. Yeah,
nothing too complex. Right. And Daredevil just kind of falls backwards into it because of Heather Glenn being associated, or father's company being associated with it. That he just kind of has to go take care of it. You know, so I like that a lot, and it's always fun to see a villain like Doc Ock, who's a Spider-Man villain, but to see him show up in another book.
Oh, totally.
And see how those characters have to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it also helps, for anyone maybe at this time, maybe if they weren't reading Spider-Man, maybe that would spark an interest in checking that out. Although I would assume they most likely were, but yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and so for me, this is, I haven't read much Spider-Man, so it was nice to kind of get, I mean, obviously I know Doc Ock from the movies and things like that. And I've read a few stories, but so it was nice to just kind of get this glimpse. And I will say something that stood out to me in this issue was, and I don't know if this is just like the corniness or if this really was Doc Ock, maybe just his craziness, but I feel like he went out of his way to always talk about Spider-Man. Like, he kept bringing him up. Yeah, he was obsessed. Right. Okay, so that's how I took it. He's obsessed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, why does he keep talking? Like, it's like it's like going on a date with someone new, and then you keep bringing up your ex or something. That was how I was like thinking. I'm like, this guy, he's got some issues here, man. He is like Daredevil's probably like, dude, let's just fight. Like, quit talking about can we just can we fight him?
We're talking about the other guy.
Yeah. So I was laughing, but that just it literally was like 4 or 5 times. You could really like stand out and count separate pages that I think he really calls him out again or talks about him. And I know we get a little bit of a background history, which I do like that he put that in there where he talks a little bit about what he's recently dealt with Spider-Man and stuff. I wanted to highlight here, Todd said, this was a fun issue. I like when heroes take on other villains, just like you said, Darrell, outside of their own rogue gallery, kind of a persecutor, a precursor, to the Acts of Vengeance crossover later on. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that was in the annuals, and it was like that. It was like villains from, like they said, other people's rogues were appearing in different books. So yeah, that was a big annual event.
Spider mentioned that he said it was ASM Annual 13 and Spectacular Annual 1 too.
Yeah, I think he and I had like a DM chat about it.
Nice.
A couple weeks ago. So
very cool.
I knew he knew the answer. I couldn't replace it in my
Yeah. No, that's cool. He says I knew how he lost his arm. Interesting. He said those annuals are great. Also, he said speaking of X's, Miller does something cool here. He removes Black Widow, ready for another X to come forth. Yeah. So that was definitely another big part. And I think so. Let me see if I threw some other stuff in here. Oh yeah. So before this, so that we get this one glimpse, I wanted to put that panel of Daredevil throwing the ball, the cue ball there. Like I loved that panel, like the details of, just how he looked there and everything. And of course, he breaks into this pool gallery where, a bunch of mobsters are hanging out and he's trying to get the information about the adamantium being stolen or whatever. And very much similar to what we had read in 160 and 161, I think it was, the 2-parter where it was it reminded me of where he lets the guy run away because he's going to follow him back to wherever this guy reports to.
I think it's the same guy too, isn't it? Turk again?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it was Turk, but
I feel like it was Turk again. Turk shows up a lot, and he's always kind of using him for that kind of stuff.
This guy's just this is like some bald white guy. He's he's got some googly eyes.
I thought that was Turk who he was like backhand.
No. But so he runs, same thing though. He's like, I'm going to wait and see like where this goes. I'm trying to see if he mentions this. Well, he ends up going to this guy, Pike, last name Pike. So he goes to Pike's place and then that's where you see on the right-hand side. So a couple little things. I like how on that one long panel down is where Daredevil's like doing his leaps and flips and everything. It looks really cool how they kind of drew that out. And then at that bottom right, that's where we see that Heather is involved because like you said, her dad, owning the company that had worked with this guy or whatever, Mr. Tubbs. She goes, Mr. Tubbs, what is the meaning of this? Why wasn't I informed of this board meeting? And then he kind of woos her, just like, Miss Glenn, we all work hard. Your father, died. Why don't you just wanted to spare you a needless worry over routine business matters. Is what he kind of brushes her off at. So, and then that's when Daredevil kind of shows up, and to what we know, like she knows who he is, and obviously they're lovers, and I guess we kind of go into that. I forget if I put that in here. No, okay, so I went right into the action.
I'm glad you did that page.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
But before we jump into that, I just want to point out something else from this issue. It is so jam packed with panels.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like this page alone, this page right here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this like string of panels right here.
Yeah.
And then you got like I mean, this one is just jam. It's not a ton of dialogue, so like you said, they do read fast.
Right.
But I mean, just so much is packed in.
Yep. Do you have the page where Black Widow's there in the green dress? Or the green jacket? I don't know if it's a jacket or a dress.
Yeah, it is the same way.
I wanted to look. These were great too.
I'm trying to get it in the angle of the camera. There we go.
Yeah. Both of these pages were great.
Right.
So yeah, get a little bit of a love scene there with her. Yeah, and he says Heather needs me. I'm going to go alone. Oh yeah, because she wanted to help him. That's what it was. She was going to she was going to kind of go chase this guy down with him, and he doesn't want her to go. He goes, "We're friends, Natasha. That's all we can ever be now." She goes, "You love her, don't you?"
Yeah.
and then it just kind of goes into the next, fight
which is kind of funny because it seemed like a few issues before when they were like at the gravesite and she slapped him and stuff. And
yeah.
It's like at that point it was like, oh, they're getting this character out of the picture, like she's gone, But then here they decided like, well, maybe we should bring her back.
Yeah.
And
I agree, Gore. Natasha, sexy and provocative. Yeah, I mean, reading this and seeing him basically like dump her and choose Heather, I'm like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
He's blind, Justin.
This is fair. She's just great. She's just great. But yeah, let me. I'm gonna
go to that double page. Yeah, go back to that page.
Yeah, this was so great.
So like the whole top panel is all. I mean, everything about this is awesome.
Yep.
That double page, because this was across 2 pages, which I'm sure you knew that.
Like the way it lays out.
Yeah. So the going across the top, and then you go to the bottom, and then it's like very step by step the choreograph. He lifts Daredevil up, he throws him in the water, and then we see him like taunting him and holding him underwater, and then. I like Daredevil's like, I'm just going to have to pretend that I'm dead.
Oh, yeah.
He gives up.
Yeah, and he's just like, like, I don't feel anymore. It's like a fish, or something. And they're just like, all right, well, they're not pulling anymore, so let me just let him go now. A spider says, no one likes Heather.
I know. I'm kind of like, when is she going to be gone? And I was looking through that other book.
Yeah.
The next volume, I was like, gosh, she's still around.
Yeah. He said those double page panels that Miller uses are always awesome. Yeah, I agree. Definitely saw some good ones here. Let's see if so I did throw in like kind of a mess of some of the battle scenes here as he goes back after him, and kind of how he defeats him, getting shocked there over on the right hand side. But again, just some really cool stuff. I appreciate all the action scenes and the way Daredevil's jumping around. I think it's really well done.
The choreography in it is great. I think I noted that in my little mini review in my stories. But
yeah, and even here, like, so Heather does like, she kind of helps in a way. Like she gets free for a second. I don't know if it's that she smacks him or she cuts him. I don't know. I think she has like a knife or something. And she cuts him, and that's like a little bit of time, at least for Daredevil to gain his bearings and get his weapon back, because he didn't have his weapon at that moment. So she slashes him or something, and then he smacks her. But that was enough time. Yeah, he even says it. He goes, he's forgotten about me. If I can just reach my billy club, got it now. And then he goes, wait, my hand just brushed up against. Oh yeah, it's when he figures out there's some high voltage wiring behind him. That middle panel here, he's really reaching for it. So he's kind of putting 2 and 2 together, and Heather's knocked out now from that nasty slap that he did. But yeah, we get to see some electrifying. We basically he turns Doc Ock into Electro here for a little bit.
I like this panel.
I should let you fry. What do you got here? Oh, let me. Oh yeah.
This one
grabs him, throws him
across
against the wall.
Yeah. I like that one a lot. That one kind of, Ditko never did this, all the way across the page, but something about this, it's like the line work or something really reminds me of Ditko's Doc Ock.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think it's the way, because artists today always draw Ock's arms all squiggly and moving around.
Right.
But it's like a lot of these panels, he has them just going in a straight line, like it's coming right at, Daredevil and stuff. So, that's kind of unique, I feel like.
Gore says electrifying, Justin. Nice one, Gore. Spider said issue 220 is when is when she goes. And what a great issue. Oh man. Okay, so we got a while for some Heather. All right. So yeah, and then I think at the end I just included like where he basically Black Widow shows up. And she's like in the background. I like how this was drawn. So it's like, he's helping Heather up. They're having this moment. She said, "You risked your life for me, Matt, after, how the way I treated you, why are you doing this?" And he goes, the answer to that. I had to be sure, Matt. It wasn't difficult to find. Oh, this is what Black Widow's thinking now. So this is her like kind of getting her own closure, I guess you could say. And so she sees that Matt is clearly in love, and then leaves. She leaves town. She leaves New York. They got the newspaper there at the bottom. Which, by the way, I like that they were doing this throughout a couple of these issues. They kept using like these laid out newspapers with headlines to kind of, describe kind of what was happening to certain characters. She said, "Yeah, but it's so hard to lose you. Goodbye, Matt, and good luck." It says, "Nothing to keep me here," says Romanoff, is the headline there. So yeah,
I like it's like Black Widow goes back to Russia.
yeah. Big headline. Ben, you're right.
I was joking because she does show back up like later on, and she's got a shorter haircut. I was joking with somebody. I was like, "Is this her first appearance since she left for Russia?" I was like, I guess her hairdresser was in Russia, and she had to go
there you go. It's a
hair done and come back.
It's a new key. Yeah, I do like her kind of silhouette drawing here in the background, the way she is. I think that's really well done too. So that's how we kind of wrap up issue 165. Let me see. I think I kept this going here. 166. Let's talk about this. This is I was very entertained by this by this issue, and that's I think the only way to really put it. It's like almost like it was like parts of it were so bad that it was good kind of thing, so corny that it was I don't know, I feel like this is an issue that I will just grow to continue to appreciate for what it is and the corniness that it has and the fun. It's fun, and there's some really, parts that you really just have to laugh at, and especially of just the time, So for anyone, tuning in, or if you're watching the replay, if you haven't read issue 166, first of all, that is the other issue that I actually own. So, that was another pickup that I had. I don't have much info on it. I don't know how much I paid for it, but definitely want to flip through this one as well. Take some photos. Hey, we got Sheena in the chat. What is up, HK Wifey? What's going on, Sheena? Talking some Daredevil. Gore says Natasha, though, always will be there for Matt. Yeah, I agreed. So this one, we'll just right off the bat, it's cool because it's like, he's in the gym working out, whatever. I like how we get these gymnastic, workouts and all this stuff. And of course, Heather shows up and immediately grabs him by the neck and is like, "Come on, you're late. We got to get ready." And he's like, "For what?" And the big surprise is that there's it's Foggy's wedding.
Foggy's wedding.
Yeah. Even the title being "Death to or Till Death Do Us Part." I thought that was right. Is it part? Yeah, part. So it's his wedding day. What did you think of this, actually, before I even go into more details?
Foggy's not married later on. I can't remember how this ends for him. I'm sure tragically. There's a lot here that, like you said, it's kind of like goofy for its time.
Yeah.
Before we even get into Melvin himself, but it's like there's a museum thing going on that's like old supervillain costumes, and it's not like a fabrication of their costume. It is their costume. Right. It's like, let's just put all the supervillain equipment in one place because that won't attract other super villains.
Right. The actual weapons and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course you have like Foggy's tuxedo, and I guess it's his fraternity brother that shows up wearing something just as ridiculous, and then the whole like, oh my gosh, I forgot the ring. This seems like such like a sitcom, like a 1970s, early 1980s sitcom trope of some sort, which I'm sure that's kind of what they were like, satirizing to some degree in itself.
Yeah, I like the other girl too, who's like really into Matt.
Yeah,
and he's like, shouldn't we get
to be his sister or something?
I think sister. He's like, shouldn't you be? You didn't even say hello to Foggy. She's like, oh, I could say hi to him anytime. She's like grabbing him on the neck. He's so uncomfortable. Meanwhile, the brothers are up there at the top right hand corner in that ridiculous suit, the suits that they got. That was funny. And like you said, forgets the ring. One of the things that connected, one of the I guess the panels that I liked was during the beginning here, when we see what's his name, Harold or Melvin. Sorry, Melvin. So Melvin shows up out of nowhere, kind of in the shadow. You see him choking out the one guard there in the middle, and then he gets his gear and he almost like kills somebody. And he shoots his blade goes flying past a bunch of people, and he goes back that very bottom right hand corner picture. It even shows him like going back to the wall and ripping it out. And he goes to put it back in. And I like this transition. This is something that stood out to me. I really like this transition between these two stories, because it goes from this action scene and it's this, and it shows that him, and then it also shows Foggy, getting his wrist ready there. I don't know if you noticed that. I just thought that was clever that they put up on that. They put the juxtaposed. I thought that was clever. So as one, putting away his weapon, the other one's just fixing, his attire there. Coupling. So thought that was a clever little, transition.
I didn't catch that at all. That was good out of there.
So, and then of course, so it goes into this that we were just, talking about his brother kind of, trying to pick his nose or whatever it is there at the bottom there. And then, so this is where I really wanted to talk about because this guy, and I posted this earlier too. I posted this.
I remember you doing that.
A couple of days, and it made me laugh because I'm like, is it just like, rereading this? And I'm going to read it again. At least it's like a couple clips here. So, it says, meanwhile, someone's yelling, get out of here, run. The gladiator is taking over the museum. He's holding some kids for hostage. He goes, he almost killed one man already. And then it flashes to him, and it's the top left. And he's like, you heard me, Stripling. Deliver that message to the authorities without delay. They have 1 hour to send me a champion to battle me, or I will slay your friends one by one. And the girl behind him's like, kill children. My God, he can't be serious. And he turns to her. He goes, I have never been more serious, and I was lost until I met you. But now I have someone to fight for. And by the Holy Empire, I will fight. And she's like, fight? But Melvin, why? There's no reason to. He goes, there's every reason, Miss Betsy. And he goes to kiss her, and she slaps her. She goes, don't ever touch me like that again. And then this scene at the bottom right is my favorite. He's just like, I am the gladiator, and you dare reject me. It is the unthinkable, unless, yes, of course, I understand now. I must prove myself in combat. Then so be it, Miss Betsy. If you want a warrior, you shall have one. And she's like, all I want is for you to let the children go free. Please, Melvin, just let them go. And I'm like, this guy is nuts. He's absolutely nuts, right? I mean, was he always like this? Like, I don't know. I haven't read much.
He shows up more throughout the Miller run here, and he's a lot like this, but like almost more sympathetic, because he obviously has something all
because he's having these flashes, right? But he's having these like mental flashbacks.
But he's got kind of like a childlike, like a mental disability or something,
right
going on. And so like even like at the end of this issue, like despite what he just put Miss Betsy through, she's feeling like, because she knows him. She's like, he has a problem.
He needs help.
And he needs help.
Yeah.
And even Matt's like, yeah, I guess you're right. And he'll get a good lawyer. Wink, wink.
Right. That's right. I forgot about that.
But I don't know in his previous appearances how he was, because like I said, I've only read a few of the pre-Miller stuff.
Okay.
So I've read a ton of the post-Miller stuff, practically all of it, but the pre-Miller stuff I'm not that as well versed in. So I don't know what he was like in his first early appearances.
Yeah.
Here, Gore has
insight. Melvin's character is like a pathetic version of Don.
Yeah, that's a good Don Quixote.
Quixote. Miller rehabilitates him during his run. Okay. Oh, interesting. All right.
So I guess he always had those like gladiator fantasies like he has in this, where he thinks he is in this like Roman world. And that like when he's taking on Daredevil, he's taking on another gladiator.
Right.
So he's probably always been like that. But as far as like this clinginess to his social worker, I don't know about that.
I just love how terrified she is. She's like, please, Mel, can we let the kids go? Like, just let them go. And to your point,
we'll talk. I'm not going to kiss you, but we'll talk.
Right. And here's to your point. This is some of the other scenes here. The one of the page all the way to the right is where he's envisioning the like Caesar essentially, right, and giving the thumbs up or thumbs down to whether or not he should kill Daredevil. And so clearly he's struggling and battling with something in his mind where he sees this. This is like his vision and what he hears in his surroundings. I love how Daredevil. I skipped some things, but like Daredevil. Because they go back and find the ring, right? They have to go back to the market to help find the ring. So he goes with with Foggy's brother, but he leaves him in the taxi. I love how he disappeared. Reminded me of Batman. He just disappeared. There's money on the seat. He's like, so he goes here, and I like how he was in disguise there. And you can see on the left-hand side, he's in disguise as one of the statues, Daredevil. And he's just like walking by. He's like, I know he's somewhere around here. So I thought that was clever. And then some great fight sines. Definitely enjoyed this.
He topples over the Stiltman armor onto him.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
That's what he's leaning against right there. He's leaning against the Stiltman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you have it. Like, here it is. Is that it? Light.
Oh yeah.
This one.
Yep.
You can see.
Oh yeah, the legs.
The Stiltman legs. So he's like knocking over the Stiltman armor onto him.
Oh, that's good. That's funny. Yeah, I missed that part. So cool. Those are some cool fight scenes for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Gladiator seems cool in like how obviously he's jacked. This guy is like massive. And his costume design looks pretty cool. I mean, he looks like a Shredder. He looks like like Shredder from TMNT or something. So he's shouting as he's fighting. He's like, Caesar's blood, and then it shows him. He's picturing like what he really sees in this vision of his, and the thumb, just up or down type thing. I think I put one more set of I just put the ending panels in here. So this was like the very end after he basically takes him out. And comes running back, and unfortunately, like I was wondering what was going to happen here because the last page, it's just the last page, and he, he's like, oh, what am I going to do? He doesn't have and all in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, maybe like the brother found the ring or whatever, and the fact that they put it on his pinky as he's holding his head like this. I'm like, oh man, I'm just eating up this issue, man.
It's like total sitcom, right? It's like,
right.
I had it on my finger the whole time. It's like where are my glasses, and they're on his head.
Like they all pause and laugh together. Like the camera looks at them and laugh. Like they all look at the camera and laugh together. Like it's a sitcom. So great. So that was. I had to act out some of that stuff because I got such a kick out of those scenes with Gladiator with Miss Betsy and everything. Anything else on this issue before we jump into this last one?
I guess we'll note that was the last Roger McKenzie.
Oh yeah, okay,
because the next issue is the David Michelini one. So
that's right. So Michelini. so does Michelini? He has. Oh, that's right. So it's only it's only this one issue, right? And then because
Yeah,
next issue is Daredevil, or I'm sorry, it's
issue,
Frank Miller, right? Yeah.
Next issue is Frank Miller and
Okay.
the introduction of a certain assassin.
Okay. Right. Okay, so yeah, let me jump into these last couple of panels here. So let me see how many I have here. So okay, so yeah, I think I took like a good 4 or 5 from this one as well. So yeah, so tell me a little bit about this one. What were your thoughts on this? Kind of where it goes and everything.
Super cool cover. I like this cover a lot. A lot of people post it on Instagram, and every time I see it, I think it jumps out between the blue and the red contrast. From what I know about Heather, this kind of sets the stage of some stuff with her. Like you'll notice she wants to get a drink.
Yep.
She's all about her drink and spilling her drink at this party.
Yeah. I like it's a nice little pool party going on.
Yeah. I like how it starts out too. It's like 80s excess, It's like back in the day, business was conducted in a boardroom in stuffy suits. But nowadays, it's at cocktail parties by the pool.
Yep.
It's like Wolf of Wall Street or something.
Right.
Yes,
everybody's got cigars. Yeah.
It says 1980 on the side of my trade page here. So that's when the issue came out.
Yeah.
I like the guy. I don't know why this guy though would even attempt to get Matt Murdock to help him with like scamming the IRS, because like surely if you know about Matt Murdock, he's like a public defender that works pro bono quite often.
Right.
He's not the type of guy that's going to help you like hide your money, anything kind of illegal,
Right.
But I mean, it sets the stage for him. I guess it's just to establish like this dude. I forgot his name already, but he's just not a good person. He does wink at Matt too. Do you have that panel? Yeah, right there in the middle at the top. He's like winking at Matt, talking about. And I was reading this issue with my kids, and I was pointing that out. And then I was like, and guys, although Daredevil has this like heightened sense and stuff, he can't see this guy wink. And this guy also thinks Matt's blind. So why is he giving this wink to it?
That's right. By the way, his name's Mr. Cord. Mr. Cord.
Mr. Cord. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Link in there. Gore says 42 years ago. I can't believe it. Yep. Time flies, man. Yeah. Time flies. Then we get the Mauler, right? Do you know anything about the Mauler?
I think this is this
is like a one-off.
Yeah. Well, I think this armor might show up again with other people wearing it. But okay. Yeah, this is like the only time for this guy though. It's the overall plot, like guy wants revenge on an old boss. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I will point out though, at the end of the previous issue, it said Dee and the Punisher. So we got that same deal like with the Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Dee and the Punisher. And so I was like, oh yeah, the next issue is the Punisher's coming in.
Right.
Those are good issues. And then we got this, and I was like, burn me again.
What a letdown. Wait. So yeah, I didn't mark that, or I didn't notice that.
Yeah. And the Punisher, like I was looking through that other book, the Punisher doesn't show up for a while. So I don't know what happened to this.
Man, they never addressed that
Punisher story. Yeah.
At least with the other one they addressed.
Yeah, but this one they didn't. They were just like, we're not going to do that yet. But anyway, so I was like, are they going to call this guy the Punisher? No, he's the Mauler. And there's, like you've said before, though, there's some good fight sequences in here with, the like kind of not a silhouette, like the ghost image of Daredevil jumping around. There's a lot of that's real good.
Yeah. And I think let me see what else I threw. Oh yeah, so I threw some of these in here.
Yeah, those panels. Yeah, That's what I was just looking at and thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
I do like this scene where he goes to Cord's office and is like waiting for him. That's
this one right here.
Yep.
This was good. Yeah, this was good. I like how he hit the lights off too, and he's like, Cord turns it back on. He's on his hands and knees, turning the light back on. and the apple that Matt was eating is just laying there afterwards. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I like that too. I pointed that actually out to the kids when I was like, "You see that apple core, guys?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "He was eating that apple over here," and I had to go back and show it to them. They were like,
"Yeah, nice."
And I was, I like to point out like that's storytelling.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yep.
I liked all that. Then we get the part with, I like this panel. You don't have it on there, but I like that silhouette panel you have up there.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yep, that's pretty cool. Just that's the tropes of Miller that we start getting. We're getting more and more of that.
Right.
In the shadows kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think the next thing I have is this. This is where we just
shadows.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where we discovered that he's this old man. He's like this old man that's like behind the suit or whatever.
Right. And it gives you the moral dilemma, like he's been robbed out of his pension.
Right.
Which is bad, and that's why Daredevil was even like, oh man, I knew this Cord guy was no good, but that's pretty dirty.
Right. By the way, Todd said the story with the Punisher was pushed to 183 because of the comics code. Huh. Okay.
That's interesting. I mean, that's a long way from here.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Spider says, wow, Punisher is 181 to 184. Okay, yeah, great perspective. Yep. Hey, we got Brandon in the house. What's up, Comics Kings?
Hey, what's up, Brandon?
So we find out it's this old guy. He's taking his pension away, so he's basically kind of getting revenge, right? I don't know if I included the wallet scene.
So we were talking about, okay.
Yeah. I
was cracking up.
Oh, hold on, let me. There you go.
So the revenge he gets on Cord, like it looks like he's going to kill him, and Daredevil's like, "Oh no, I can't stop him in time." But wait, he's just taking out his wallet and burning all his credit cards, and now you don't exist either.
Yep.
I've taken all of your existence away and burned it up. And I was dying laughing at this, and I was telling my kids, I was like, guys, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Burning up your credit cards does not end anything. The bank will send you new ones.
Yeah.
So I was like dying laughing, like that was your big plan to like burn his wallet. At the first I thought he was going to take his wallet and be like, okay, here's my pension, I'm going off with it.
Yeah, at least have his money or whatever. Right. Let's see. I'll jump to these other ones here. So this was more of like kind of the ending of the battle or what had happened. Basically, they bring in this like machine or whatever, and that's in that middle set of panels there, and they're trying to sneak up on this guy. And as they do, I mean, Daredevil sees it. He's trying to stop it because ultimately he's just trying to stop everybody from fighting in general.
Get killed.
Yes, and he almost does, but they get the gun off in time, or the whatever this weapon is, and then shoots the guy, and he ends up dying.
Yeah.
So that was a little darker.
Like purple blood or something.
That was I don't know what that was.
It's like smoke, but it's kind of splattered, almost like I don't know.
It is like smoke. It's coming out of the gun, is what it is. Some of it
kind of like plasma or something,
or oil, or I don't know. Man, that's weird. But he goes, "Thanks anyway, Daredevil. But I guess it doesn't really matter now. Maybe it never did." Thud, and he just falls. And then that's when, Cord's there. He's trying to plead his case with Daredevil. He goes, "Just wait a minute now, Daredevil. I didn't do anything illegal. And if you're thinking of reporting this incident, that armor was being developed for the government to expose it to the public would be a breach of national security. It's the law. You understand? You understand that, don't you?" And he goes, "Yes, Mr. Cord. I understand the law and the need for the national security, and I respect them both most of the time." And then he like knocks him out. But as they zoom in kind of closer, so he's still, obviously not happy the fact that this guy dies. So. And he kind of can't touch him in that sense. And then was the grave scene at the end? Was that for?
Yeah, that's for the guy that got killed.
Okay, that was
his pension.
Okay,
that's him. And then I guess Daredevil's showing up in his trench coat, like Paul pointed out. If Paul's still around, but Paul pointed out he like wears his trench coat with the costume.
Oh, that's what he's talking about. Yeah, because you see his hand, and he's got his glove.
Yeah, he's got his glove. So I'm assuming he has his whole costume on right there.
It's probably cold out, It's probably cold.
The gravestone says he was, and that is enough.
Yeah, I saw that. Jeez. Oh gosh. I didn't. Don't let that be mine.
Yeah, that is enough.
Give me a little something more than that. Yeah. So definitely kind of a sad way to kind of go, wrap this one up. That didn't really lighten up in any sense. There was, and actually, I think is that all I have for these panels? Yeah, that's it. All right. Spider's Comics says the cover was redone, right, Todd? Oh, the cloth over the impaling sigh. I don't know if he's talking about this one, but
we must be talking about
the 180s,
the electric,
yeah. Does the back of yours have? There were a few other pages that I had. Where it just shows a breakdown again. And I think we talked about this last time because there was like another issue that had something similar. Yeah. But it basically shows Daredevil and how he works and how his mechanics work with his weapons and the Billy Club and all that. Do you have that?
Yeah. Yep, I got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty good pages too. I mean, I read them anyway because I was reading it with my kids. But
same.
Just because I like the diagram of his brownstone.
Yep. Oh yeah,
not get that light on there.
Yeah,
but I thought that's pretty cool. Although we were looking at it, even my kids were like, "Where does he sleep?" They were like, "He has an art gallery, he has a library, he has a gym. Where is his bedroom?" And I was like looking at it too, like maybe it's off to the side, guys. I don't see it. Like I still don't see it. Like this room looks like it has like a grand piano in it.
Oh yeah.
See it?
Oh yeah.
And in the other room, I don't see like a bed or anything. It looks like a living room. So I'm like, I don't know where he sleeps, guys. I guess he doesn't. He's out being Daredevil all night. But I do like this is cool though. His like skylight button that he pushes.
Oh yeah, to get out. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought that was
the rooftop
cool.
Just goes. Yeah. And I do like the panels that come after that too, like just showing some of the fight scenes and stuff. Like he's taking out those guys with the purple masks on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that one pose. He's got like this. He's like striking down and knocking the one dude out. It looked really cool.
This one.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, that looks cool. Yep. Yeah. He's just knocking them out. There's some of those heartbeats. Those heart lines are there too. Again, I like that they took the time to do this, especially for kids that are reading this. Just to get an understanding of like his powers and how how he can like see without seeing and sense. His surroundings and stuff like that. So I think that's cool that they take the time to do that. Yeah, Spidey was talking about 181 before.
Yeah, I'm assuming like I can only imagine at this point sales were maybe starting to pick up. So they were like, let's do a little something, make sure new readers getting onto this.
Yep.
Know the character.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially going into the new writer. Next issue. Yeah. So that makes sense. So cool, man. I wanted to ask you too. I know I showed a couple of issues, but do you own these individually, or I know you have trades for a lot? No.
Yeah, I just have the trade. I never picked these up because I could never get like enough of them in sequence. Like,
okay.
So I just kind of never did. And then they came out the trades, and I never did. I used to have Born Again, all those. I sold those a long time ago, and I kind of wish I had them now because even the trade of that is kind of pricey. So
is it? Yeah.
It must be currently out of print.
Oh, maybe because,
yeah. It's like sometimes like I'll see it, and it'll be like $50 for the trade, and I'm like, I could probably get the single issues cheaper than that. If I went around looking for them again.
Yeah.
So no, I've never owned any of these. I kind of wish I did, just so I could see them on newsprint though.
Yeah, that's what I think that I'm going to try to collect it. I mean, I was for a while trying to get I wanted to own the first,
Daredevil.
like the first 300 issues of Daredevil. That was like kind of a goal of mine for a while. I guess it still is a goal, but just very much long term. I'm not in any like rush to get them, but you know, if there's a sale where I can find a bunch in like $1 bin or something like that, then I'll do that. So that's kind of what I was doing. So I'm gonna go through my Daredevil stuff. I basically have one full short box right now of volume 1.
And I think a lot of these Miller issues aren't terribly expensive, with the exception of the Death of Elektra issue is spoilers.
Right. But what, the death of who? Oh my god!
But like that one's like, and it's not even like crazy high, but it's probably because these were so popular.
Yeah.
But at this point, the print runs are going up. So,
well, I think he's just like, to some degree, I think Daredevil is just underrated. I think that him as a superhero, compared to your Captain Americas and your Thors and your Hulks, he's much more underrated, and especially to those who don't read any comics. If it wasn't for like the Ben Affleck movie, like a lot of people might not have even heard of him up until the Netflix stuff or whatever. But so I think that's another reason too, because ultimately that was another. I remember when I was first getting into comics, that was another thing, another plus that I liked about trying to hunt down all the Daredevil stuff, because comparing it to ASM or Fantastic Four, all those, even the non-key issues, of the earlier stuff especially, they were so expensive for those other series. So to me, like, and again, I didn't want to spend an arm and a leg per se. I'm like, okay, well, what do I like that I also can afford at this time and I'm comfortable with? And so Daredevil is a great run to kind of collect in that sense too. It's affordable, at least for now it is, compared to some of those bigger names or whatever. So, but he's great, man. I love the character, and this was a lot of fun to continue to dive through some of this stuff. It gives me a lot of, we get entertainment, whether we're laughing at it or with it.
Oh yeah.
It's always a good time. So,
I mean, all this old stuff, it's like, you have to read it like in its context of when it was written.
Absolutely. And same thing with X-Men too. Same thing with X-Men.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You definitely have to. So, you kind of like the 80s party of the rich people with their cocktail party by the pool. I mean, you gotta like kind of just laugh.
Oh yeah.
Laugh at it, so it doesn't mean it's not good or it's not entertaining, but I mean, it's about to take off now that Miller's writing it, though. He takes it in a new direction. I'm sure, like, there's stuff I don't remember, like, detail wise. I'm sure there's still going to be some funny stuff like that.
Oh sure.
But,
yeah.
But it's much tighter, I feel like, than what we've read so far. That's why I'm so excited, because it's like, I've heard nothing but great things from the series, and what Frank Miller's done with this character. And when I got into X-Men, the Chris Claremont stuff, which was only like 2 years ago, it was like right when the pandemic started. I had a choice of what direction I wanted to go, because I remember I was just in the mood to read something more towards the Bronze Age, and something that I heard was classic. That was my goal at that time. So I'm like, all right, I hear nothing but great things about Daredevil, Frank Miller. I also hear nothing but great things about X-Men, Chris Claremont. So of the two, I actually went X-Men because I was on a big kick for Daredevil. And I think that was why to me, it was like, okay, I already know I like Daredevil, so let me just read some X-Men, because I haven't read X-Men before. And that was actually the split. And then because of that, I've obviously just become this huge X-Men fan. And I just wonder if I switched that, and if I read, Frank Miller we're doing it now, which is, better late than never, but so I am excited to get into this and, continue onward with, reading some of this stuff. There really wasn't a wrong choice between those two, to be honest.
Yeah.
I will say the Miller run, even though, like I said, this is going to take, if we're doing an issue a week about, this is going to take us the better part of a year to do, but you chose something that's going to go on for a long time. Like, do you plan to keep doing that Omni show you're already past the Byrne era, but are you planning to do like a volume 3 and like just keep going up until?
Yeah, we have
Claremont anyway.
We have 4 omnibus right now. I own 1 through 4 of this volume of Claremont, and we joke about like doing like New Mutants Omni, like or
Mhm.
we'll call it the New Mutants Omni X-Men or whatever. And then I'm like okay, and then in 2052 we're gonna be breaking down Hickman and and Jonathan Hickman stuff. When we get there 30 years from now,
Yeah.
John's been a good sport about it. But yeah, I mean, as far as we know, yeah, we plan to continue to just take it at some sort of pace and because it's fun, man. Just like what we're doing, man. Like it's just so much fun and just talking and obviously there's a huge fan base out there. A lot of people talk about it. So everybody that's here in this chat right now, so it's fun to just hang and talk with everybody. I saw Gore said it's odd, Justin, because Daredevil for 42 years has consistently benefited from good writers and artists, which is rare.
That's what I always say.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. I mean, because after Miller, I guess like Danny O'Neill takes over for a while, and then Miller even comes back for Born Again.
Yeah.
And then eventually like Ann Nocenti takes over, and I've not really read a ton of hers, but I did get a bunch years and years ago, mostly for the John Romita Jr. art. And John Romita Jr. slays as an artist on Daredevil. And in fact, that little documentary series I was telling you about, when it talks to him, that's when he had already been doing some Spider-Man, and I think he'd done X-Men already when he came on to Daredevil. And he said he was like almost fed up with the industry because he'd been getting a lot of flack about people saying you only have this gig because of your dad and stuff, which annoyed him. And so he said he was about to leave, and I guess it was Ann Nocenti convinced him to like do Daredevil with her. And he was like, okay. And like he was like, I had freedom to do whatever I wanted with Daredevil. And that's when he kind of came into his own really as an artist. I mean, he already kind of had a distinct style, but that's when he really like took over.
Okay.
And then there's a little lull in the 90s. I'm sure have you heard of the Fall from Grace story when he got the armor and stuff. It was like kind of popular when it came out, but then it's like, I think as it kind of came out, it's like people were like, this was cool for a month or two, but it's like already over. Yeah. But then after that, Carl Kessel comes on and does a short run. And that's really when I got into Daredevil. It was kind of in the late 90s.
Kessel?
And the first issue I read had Ben Reilly as Spider-Man was guest starring. I picked that up. I was like, I want to see what Daredevil, because I knew Daredevil and Spider-Man, like they knew each other and stuff. I was like, I want to see how Daredevil's reacting to the clone Spider-Man,
Yeah.
And I loved it so much that I went with Daredevil. That's when I really got into Daredevil, and then started going back as much as I could, but like going forward. And the Carl Kessel run was good, and then Joe Kelly takes over, and he does like a really good run where Gene Colan comes back. Gene Colan comes back and does it with him for a while, and then the Marvel Knights stuff takes over. So you've got Quesada and Kevin Smith, and then Bendis comes on. And then Brubaker comes on, and then it's like
it's just like hit after hit after hit.
Yeah, it's like just a cycle of like, wow, like how is this book just maintaining like so well?
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I mean, it's exciting to hear. This thing too, Gore said, I liked Romita Jr. on Spider-Man and Daredevil, but not X-Men. But with Nocenti, they worked magic. Yeah, So I mean, you're talking about Romita. I don't think I have enough experience with Romita. I definitely never read the Daredevil stuff that you're talking about. But even the X-Men stuff. So like, and I don't know if I'm just like someone who, as a newer collector and reader, looking at all the different covers from back in the day and trying to discover what I enjoy more. Obviously, John Romita Sr. Stands out as one of my favorites and one of the best at what he did. And so when I see that and his artwork, and it's just totally not fair to like compare, but like, and then I see his son's artwork. To me, I'm so not sold on Romita Jr. Again, comparing. Not it's probably just not fair to compare the two, but I'm trying to adjust my mind because I want to judge him on his own right, based on just his own work at his own time. And like you said, some different eras, as even as Gore is saying, seems like he liked him in Spider-Man and Daredevil, not so much on X-Men. So maybe I'll I'll see that too to some degree as we read onward and as I explore more stuff. But
I liked Romita's Junior's first X-Men run, which is around the Mutant Massacre and stuff.
Okay.
A little bit before. I think he takes over a little bit before 200, maybe in the 170s or something.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
He's on it sporadically. I think he's on and off like through about the 210s or something. But I like that. But then he comes back around the 300 time, and I like his style a lot, but it doesn't work as well.
Right. Right.
I thought in that era, but I do like Romita Jr. He does a great Thor run in the 90s.
Oh yeah, okay.
Awesome.
I would like to see his work in the 90s because obviously he's probably grown, so I'm curious to see the differences between him when he was younger versus as he's gotten better through the years.
Yeah. It's kind of blocky, in a way, but like, I don't know. It's like he's so good at just what he does.
Sure. Yeah. Todd here says Miller also does a one-off issue right before Born Again about Matt stumbling into a corrupt town, issue 219. It's one of my favorite standalone issues of all time. All right, Todd, good to know. 219, I will note that. Spider said Cell Block D by Brubaker, pure heat. Interesting. Hey, we got Ian in the house. Hood Rat Comics. What's going on, man? Gore said that's a great issue, Todd. Oh yeah, talking about the 219. Spider says Justin JR has different styles too. So that's something I didn't even really consider. He said I like his ASM run, but I don't like his DD. I think people have to be very particular over which of his work they like. That's fair. Yeah, no, I definitely will admit like I just haven't had enough experience overall with JR or Junior. But on that note, I was just looking through Terrificon coming up here in the end of July, the Comic-Con here in Connecticut, or up north in Connecticut, and he's actually going to be there. Cool. I thought that was cool. Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to see about maybe. I know I have a ton of his work in some of the X-Men stuff and things like that. So maybe I'll get something signed, or at least meet him because I know he is, obviously a legend. That he's done so much for the industry. So that would be cool. Justin, Spider says Cell Block D, Volume 2, 82 to 87. Okay,
that's
cool.
That's after Bendis, I guess.
Some of the Brubaker. Yeah, it's by Brubaker. Yeah,
I think that's Bendis leaves him in jail, and Brubaker has to get him out.
Okay.
If I recall correctly.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to keep reading on. And again, Darrell, thanks for doing this with me, and just going back and forth, talking about this stuff. And I know this is not really like, or we're just kind of doing this on the whim or whatever, but definitely want to do another one of these as we, get through some of the key issues. There it is.
They're getting into the good stuff.
Yeah, I do have that. I have a raw copy.
More modern. Like he did the covers for these. Like, it's not like an old thing that they redid.
Right.
This is more.
I do have that somewhere. I'll have to find it because I know someone had, I think, AOK'd that to me or something. But yeah, so we'll it seems like we're doing it every month or so, every other month or whatever. So this works out, perfect for me. So we'll keep, we'll plan the next one out. Anybody who is not following Darrell over on Instagram, I put his information in the description below. And we'll announce, whenever we come up with the next one. If you guys want to read along with us, we're jumping right into that next one there, 168. I'll probably read it this weekend actually. So, we're just doing one issue a week. So anybody want to join in and just talk some Daredevil with us, just reach out to us or whatever. And, we'll keep it going. So, any final thoughts here, Darrell, before we wrap it up?
I'm just ready to get into the Miller writing stuff, man.
Cool.
The other stuff is fun, but this is where it takes off. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. I'm still excited to see what happens with Foggy and his wedding. I hope Frank Miller does.
You want to
justice
know what
to that
happened on the
story.
honeymoon?
Yeah, I hope Frank Miller gives us a good honeymoon follow up to that. Is what I'm looking forward to. All right, gang. Appreciate everybody who's hanging out with us here live in the chat today, and anybody who's watching this on the replay. Appreciate you as well. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what your thoughts were of these issues. If you had a favorite out of all of these, we'd love to know and talk more about it. So until next time, we will talk to you guys later.